Hey, welcome back.
Hey, Rowan, I'm here, and I'm taking over the start, Rowan. I don't want to hear from you this right now, mister. I've won another tournament. You can just rub it in our faces. You are staying quiet at the start of this show, Rowan. It is a takeover. And, welcome everybody. We're just going to leave Rowan just so he doesn't gloat from us. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at the TFL Podcast. If you're watching on, YouTube, hit subscribe now and the thumbs up to like. How am I going, Rowan? I don't care. I'm doing well. And Apple Podcast reviews, 5 stars, of course. Rowan, what a week it's been.
It's been... I'd almost forgotten, mate. I almost forgotten that I had.
Anyway, you can shut up. That's enough from you already. Other things are on the cards. I'm playing host. Join Draftstars. bit.ly/join Draftstars. That helps the pod and gets you into the fun. But I also want to play with us. It's TFL Week 10 contest time. So bit.ly/TFL Week 10. And Rowan, you're not going to believe what's happened in the past week.
What happened?
You're not going to believe.
Okay, I'm ready to hear it. What's going on?
Patreon's back.
Hey!
Patreon's back.
Bring back the Patreon.
Yes. Look, if you want to throw your support another way to us, patreon.com/the TFL Podcast. Tiers starting at $5 a month. Just a month. That is less than 3 entries to the mini in 1 month. Come on, guys. That's nothing. But Ron, it's better than last time. We just said join, our Patreon to give us money and get nothing in return. We're going to give you something in return this time round, Rowan.
And I think it's worth it. Big time.
I do. Yeah. So
you've put a lot of effort into this, Arch. It's your baby. I'll support you. I'll gloat for you. It's a wonderful,
you take over this part.
Wonderful tool that you get to use, everyone, if you join the Patreon. And it is it's a spreadsheet, but it's a brilliant spreadsheet, and it is a fantastic way to analyze every upcoming NFL Draftstars slate. So it's a phenomenal tool. So Arch, you deserve all the praise here. You've done a great job.
I appreciate that, but just to know what do you have it on your screen that you can bring up now, Ron? But we can do that later. But what it does, it just puts on one page Draftstars salaries, a couple different projection sources, some value metrics, how points per dollar type stuff. Oh, look at that beautiful thing. There's real heavy on the conditional formatting here, Rowan. We've got some route data as well. And a couple things I've been working on is I've started to work on a little DFS model, highlighting some good value plays based on game environment. And also just today, Rowan, had my first release of my own roster ownership projections.
Ooh. So there's no one doing projections for Draftstars.
There isn't.
So this is a powerful tool that you're coming up with.
Yeah. Basically, we've been working off of DraftKings ownership projections so far, and so there's a real gap there. So I'm working on that. First iteration of the model has been released on our Week 10 slate spreadsheet, but that is something that every week will start to get refined and improved. So I'm really excited about this. If you want to have access to it, and also at the end of the pod, we'll finish the pod officially, but we'll keep the stream going, and we might actually chuck this back up on the screen and sort of talk anyone who wants to stick around and just listen how we use it, how you can use it to, I guess, build your lineups.
Definitely. So if you're listening to this on a podcast, then it's not going to be worth listening to on a podcast. So you're going to need to jump on YouTube. So listen to the podcast, sure. Then jump on YouTube and check out how the spreadsheet works. It's super useful. I use it every single week that we've been developing this. Well, that Arch has been developing this. It's great stuff.
Love you, Peachy.
Awesome. All right. Am I taking over host again now? Is this?
No. It's still my gig. Yeah, no. Look, I'm also practicing because I don't know if you remember last year. I know Andrew Campy, who's jumped on the stream. He remembers when your power went out and I really shat the bed.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, so I need to get my hosting chops going. Look, Rowan, you had a good week. You won your second micro of the year. Tell us about it, mate.
Mate, it was good. It's good. It's nice to see the process working. Like, seriously, it's been... Look, you come into DFS and it takes a bit of time, I think, to really kind of know what you want to be doing. And every sport's different. And so being able to get into NFL a little bit more and be really dedicated for NFL... it's just been nice to come into this year, sit down, have a process, and the process has paid off. It's gotten me 2 micro wins and a second in the micro as well over the last 7 weeks. 7 weeks ago, I really owned in on this process of mine. So, no, it's been good. I mean, the things that worked for me, Fields. I mean, how could he not work for you? Yes. He really was quite incredible. And a decent ownership on the field for Fields, but it was the stacking. It was the Komet stack that really took me to the top with my best lineup. Pat's defense though as well, looking really good, and I think anyone against Sam Ellinger is going to look good. But the Pats defense, is still probably the strongest part of that team. So I was happy to pay up for the Pats defense last week. So that was really, really good. A few things I still missed, though, like Joe Mixon. I missed Joe Mixon. I think it got me thinking about positive regression. Oh, what's Campy got to say here? Rowan's power going out got me properly into DFS, so I figure you guys owe me a few $100 now. Yeah, suck it, mate.
Probably something like
that. Dear. So, thinking about positive regression is probably the theme of my thinking this week. Is what can I see in terms of usage in these running backs and wide receivers who haven't performed how we might expect them to with that kind of level of usage. And Mixon is just king of that. His usage across the year has been phenomenal. The touchdowns just weren't there. They weren't coming. Yeah. And then he goes and scores 5 touchdowns in 1 week. It was ridiculous. But Arch, no one was really on Mixon, were they?
No. Not a lot of the people who put Max entered a lot of contests. He just went, which mean he didn't hurt you too badly, in a way. Like if you hit on your other pieces, just because
That's right.
But if because the people that did have Mixon, I don't think he was in the winning lineup. Was he?
He wasn't in my lineup.
Yeah, so
he was in the main. The guy who won the main was about 20 points above second as well, because of Mixon.
Just
really,
hit the nuts.
That was the thing. That's right.
So, Rowan, what I'm interested in, what people probably are interested, the process. Talk to me about what you're doing, in the lead up, crunching, how many entries are you putting into the micro for starters?
Yeah, sure. I'm max entering. Look, I'll pull up a screen here for us. I might talk through how I use the cruncher on Draftstars a little bit, just to briefly go through it. But I max enter, and I think when you've got guys who are putting 100 lineups in, you kind of need to put 100 lineups in as well. It's the way to really make the most of your opportunities. Really, you're trying to mitigate risk with every single lineup that you're going for. Now, you might see some weeks, you see guys in the micros and the mains that have like 30 lineups in the top 50. And it's because they've really just chosen one stack and one particular build, and they're changing like only one player in each lineup. And that's great. And it works. And when it does work, it really pays off. But that's not my strategy at all, really. My strategy is I just want one. I'm happy with one to pull up to the top. And usually because of the way I stack, like there might be a few that do end up in the top 20 around that. But I'm actually happier to have less concentrated ownership and have it more spread out. So there's a few things that I do. So first thing that I do is I use the projections that we have on our Patreon only spreadsheet. So make sure you get onto that. So that's one of the things I use there, and I import. So one of the things I do, I'm going to download the CSV without player projections, and then I'm going to upload my projections into there. If you need help with that, use something called VLOOKUP. That there's YouTube videos that you can use to see how that all works. Then I import them in here. All right, so let's just say I've imported them. Here we go. We've got the slate coming up for Monday here. And I make a shortlist. A shortlist is really, really important. So let's say I go to quarterbacks and I want to make Buffalo stacks, Kansas City stacks, and Miami stacks. I actually usually have about 7 quarterbacks that I stack in my 100 lineup. So I'm spreading it around. But I make decisions. They're not all equal. Like I'm going to go heavy and go 20 lineups on, say, Burrow and 20 lineups on Tua. Last week, I put 20 on Tua, 20 on Burrow, 15 on Fields, and then I had a few guys that were in the 10s.
Yep.
And so shortlist, really, really important. And once you've done that through all your positions, because you need to do it with all your positions, then you're really going, okay, let's say I want a Josh Allen stack. I'm going to go here to the settings. I'm going to go to exposure, and I'm going to make sure that I've got a Buffalo stack, and let's say I want 3. 3 means I've got Josh Allen there as the quarterback, and I'm going to have 2 pass catches. And so the crunch is getting better at actually understanding how to do that, which is good. Yeah. And the portfolio method is actually quite important. So what this does is basically if it crunches a lineup and then anyone that's in that lineup, it reduces their projection by, well, your chosen amount, 1%, 2.5%, 5%, so on. And what that does, it means that...
Exposure, you mean, yeah?
No, it actually changes the projection.
Okay.
And so what that is doing is then when it's creating lineups, the next time it creates a lineup, it's moving down to those lower place players and not concentrating so much on these top few guys. Yep. And so what this does is allows me then to have an exposure across a lot of different people, which is what I kind of want. I want to be able to hit. Say there are a few of those low-owned guys that do go big. Well, and I want Joe Mixon in some of my lineups last week, and he was. Now he wasn't in the ones that hit the top, but he was in a few other ones. Unfortunately, where the stacks just didn't work out. Anyway, so then I'm doing that. I'm making sure. Okay, say I wanted 20 Josh Allen stacks. I changed that to 20. I usually leave it at 2 unique players per lineup. Again, for that same reason of wanting to kind of spread the ownership across a bunch of things. I rarely would like more. Like really, it's probably 3. I've put 3 max players per team.
Yep.
And so that's also kind of where I'd probably go. Then you crunch. So I'm going to crunch lineups from all here just for the sake of seeing what we get, seeing what the cruncher likes to give us on
when you've done your shortlist, you'll be crunching from your shortlist. Is that?
That's right. When I crunch my shortlist, when I make it there. Anyway, sometimes it's going to give me a few duplicates. So that just means that I'll just play around with my settings, play around with my exposures. And so I see here, okay, these are the exposures that it's given me. So what I'll probably do is I'll go back and I'll adjust the projections. I don't sit by law on the projections. Yep. And that's, I think, really, really important is that you got to go with your gut sometimes. And so you look at the order, you're looking at, okay, what are the projections done here? So let's say we go to running back land and we see that Kamara, it's got projected for 21 points, Henry for 20.5. But say you're like, no, Henry's just going to be a beast. Like, I'm happy to move him up above Kamara. And sometimes that's all that matters is where he is. So let's say I put him to 22. Sure, he might go for 30, no worries. But I don't want him to be so much above Kamara that I'm not going to get any Kamara. And so you're just adjusting and doing that. So that's part of my process. Once I collect my teams and I'm happy with the stacks that I've got, I move them into my teams. And then my actual process after that is that because, unfortunately, the cruncher doesn't do bringbacks, and I know there's some other crunchers out there, DFS Australia do one that do talk about bringbacks. That's super helpful. But there are pros and cons to all the crunches out there. So I stick with this, and then I actually go back into my teams and I make adjustments. And so that takes me probably about 2 hours. It takes me probably 2 hours to really get my crunches happen and to be happy with my teams. And I look for things like I always want to bring back, in most stacks, that is, especially if it's a great passing offense, I want to make sure that I don't have players that are going against the defense. That's a big one. The cruncher doesn't think about that either. So that's really, really important. And I'm happy to, as well, think about do I need to stack? Do I need to bring back? So there's lots of questions that go on. But I do like to then also individually kind of go through my lineups as well. So it's a process for sure, but it's one that's worked for me. And some people don't want to spend all that time, and that's why I'd probably like you do, Arch. Like you spend a lot of time then just looking at 15 lineups for the mini, and I think that's it's a process we have to kind of work together on to kind of think about what works for everybody, and it's going to be different for some people. So anyway, that's what works for me. So hopefully that's been interesting for everyone to hear that process I've been going through.
Yeah, beautiful. No, thank you, Rowan. I'm going to throw it back to you now. You can have the hosting chair now. It's fine, mate.
Oh, can I? Oh, that's very kind of you.
To be honest, I'm spent. I'm done.
Well, all you need to do now, Arch, is hit a button so that we can jump into the matchups. And CMOS is ready for it, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, he is. Ha! It's week 10 preview time.
Alrighty. Woo. Get pumped, everybody. CMOS is in the chat. He's loving it.
Yes, he's bouncing along. Fresh off a new episode of the Aussie Fantasy Football Show. Get on that on all your platforms.
That's it. We love CMOS. We love Tom and Poiter.
Yes.
That's it. So once you're done with us, and DFS is awesome. If you're into Dynasty and even just season-long stuff, jump on board the Aussie Fantasy Football Podcast. They're fantastic. So get on board, everybody, and share the love amongst Australians who love NFL fantasy. It's fantastic. Well, we're going to jump into the matchups. We've got 4 key games that we think, of course, Ewers. I'm so sorry, Ewers. That's it. Another one of the fantastic lads at Aussie Fantasy Football.
Oh,
all right.
He's my favorite voice, anyway.
Yeah.
Really
We've got 4 matchups for you to go through this evening, and the first one is Cleveland at Miami, and Miami are only 3-point favorites. Interestingly enough. And there's an over-under here of 49. And, well, let's just think about this game. And I want to start off with Cleveland. Look, we all know how good Miami is. But let's just start off with Cleveland. And look at this guy here.
Where's the quarterback?
He's all the way down here, priced at $8,620. This is Jacoby Brissett we're talking about. Last week, put up 20 points against Cincinnati. Had a great game. Rushed a touchdown, passed a touchdown, threw for 278 yards. Now, look, I'm not saying that we're going to get anything special out of Jacoby Brissett, but priced at $8,600 is super cheap. So and when we look, I'm just saying, the options that are out there at running back and wide receiver at the top end are fantastic. I'd like to access as many of them as I can. To be honest, if I'm playing cash games, head-to-heads and six-man stuff like that, Jacoby Brissett is solid. I actually think he's a solid option to kind of just minimize some of your salary so that you can access the guys who we think are really going to go off this week. So, look, I'm not saying stack him. I'm not saying that you have to use him in tournaments, but I honestly think he's a great salary saver here. And he's gone 16 points or more 4 times out of the last 8 weeks. That's all right. I'm going to take that's fine. And Miami, let's have a look at Miami's defense just quickly.
Yes.
They're not that great. They're 19th overall in defensive EPA. It's expected points added. They're not super good at stopping solid plays through the air. They're
31st in adjusted schedule adjusted fantasy points per 2 quarterbacks as well.
Love that. So look, that's enough Jacoby. But I'm just saying he's actually a decent player this week. Let's move on to the wide receivers in Cleveland Town. Cooper is priced at $10,000. $10,570. This is a guy that can go big. Now, there's a narrative here that he doesn't like playing away. And that's fair. At Baltimore, at Atlanta, at Carolina, all just dud games. But I just don't think that's a sticky stat.
No.
I just can't buy that playing that big of a difference is a sticky stat. And so when I look at this guy, I'm like, he's 26.1 against Cincinnati, 20.6 against the Chargers, 26.1 against Pittsburgh, 28.1 against the Jets. This guy knows how to find the end zone as well. He's scored 5 touchdowns this year so far, gone over 100 yards 3 times. And against Xavier Howard, who has not looked very good at all, especially in the past month, really, really happy to play Cooper, right? Miami are the 31st team in defensive pass DVOA. They are letting offenses move through the air. Speaking of moving through the air, DPJ. Now, look, we don't talk about this guy much.
No.
All right, Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's sitting here, though, at sub 8,000, 7,870. And you might look at his box scores and go, 4 for 81, 6 for 7. He hasn't scored more than 12.1 points this year in terms of Draftstars scoring. But let's just have a look at the yardage. It's really solid. 4 out of the last 5 weeks, he's gone 71 yards or more. and he's catching four or more passes each game for the last 5 games. This is a guy that honestly, like, he probably should find the end zone. If we're going to talk positive regression here, he's getting enough opportunity and traveling far enough through the air to potentially hit the end zone here. And against Miami, I actually really like Donovan Peoples-Jones. Like, yes, it's not, Cleveland aren't a super high passing offense. I get that. But if I'm going to look for some of these sub 8K wide receivers to put into my lineup, then Donovan Peoples-Jones actually kind of fits well for me. Like, I'm happy to play Donovan Peoples-Jones almost in cash based on just how much they're trusting him to push down the air. So if Cooper doesn't go off, then I actually think Donovan Peoples-Jones could have a really good day. So both of those wide receivers are definitely in play. Miami are 7th in defensive rush DVOA. So they're decent at stopping the run. So let's talk about Chubb. He's priced up, most expensive Cleveland player.
Someone let Chubb know that before he runs through the place.
Yeah, well, I was just about to say, I don't care. I don't care about Miami's defense here. Look, Chubb's averaging 5.6 yards per carry. He's the RB5 in PPR scoring when he barely catches the ball. Yes. He is this offense. Like, let's be honest. Like, the wide receivers are good and they're going to get opportunities, but Chubb is the offense and is at the heart of it. And he's at a price that he's 2 times 3 occurrences this year. He's gone over 2 times his current salary. So I'm very happy to play Chubb. Yep. Tight ends, they suck. I'm ignoring the tight ends. David Njoku, like, this whole tight end slate is disgusting. Just let me say that. Look, you could play Njoku if he's healthy. So just watch that space. So I wouldn't be playing I definitely know if you're going to stack. Look, if you're going to stack Brissett, don't play Njoku and Peoples-Jones because I just don't think there's enough room for them to go around. But without Njoku in the side, if he doesn't get up, then I think Donovan Peoples-Jones is great play. Yep. Miami, I mean, good Lord, Tua, what are you doing? You're just an absolute beast. And look, I'm loving it. I'm loving the upcoments of... No, upcoments? That's probably the wrong term. Whatever's going on for Tua, I love it. It's great. And for a guy that's, he's been hurt and concussed. So let's ignore these low scores. Let's be honest. Let's take them out of the rotation.
Hands were going nuts at some point, weren't they?
Yeah, look, that was something else. That day was interesting. But in the last 2 weeks, Tua's just gone gangbusters.
Well, they've just built the offense so well around him. They've got receivers that are they just get open. Yeah. And Tua's accurate. So if there's guys just open, he'll get it to them.
I think the best thing about watching this offense is just that I can trust that Waddle or Hill are going to catch the ball about 10 yards from the line of scrimmage many times and then run for another 10. Like, that's just seems to be the model that they're following. And Mike McDaniel's just got the yards after catch thing down pat, especially after being in San Francisco. So Tua's he's in a really good spot. So let's just say, look, they're first in explosive pass percentage. They're first in pass expected points added per play. He's at a really good price at sub 13,000. He's going to be really popular because of it, though. So you have to stack this game. Like that's a given. But if you're going to stack this game, you got to stack it uniquely. And I actually think paying for both Hill and Waddle is hard to do. And if you can do it, then I think that will separate you. Like that's going to be something that's going to push up leaderboards. So, like, Tyreek Hill, he's 19,000. He's priced up big time, but for a very good reason. Yeah. Like, you just play this guy. He's the wide receiver one
at the same price, and I know who I'm trusting this week.
Oh, I'm going Tyreek Hill every day of the week. So you've got him there. Now, Jalen Waddle is 13,410. He's not really priced up. That's a pretty soft, nice price for a guy that is the wide receiver 6 on the year in PPR. So you absolutely double stack where you can. It's a case really where the defense is irrelevant. I just don't care at the moment in terms of this offense, what's going on with the defense. And yeah, potentially they shut down one. They can't shut down both. Like, that's just not going to happen. Turning to running backs, we've got here 2 guys. Raheem Mostert priced at 12,140. And that's too expensive. I'm just going to say that now. It's too expensive for Raheem Mostert when you've got a guy like Jeff Wilson coming in. Priced at the base bin, he scored 16.2 fantasy points last week against Chicago. Jeff Wilson is... he could take over this backfield, to be honest.
Has it already happened? 49% snaps in his first week.
That's right. Both had 9 carries last week. Most scored, but Wilson produced. Like that's the reality. So Wilson's going to be my pick here. He's so cheap as well. And Cleveland are 30th in rush DVOA. So let's just go with Wilson here. I'm not saying it's a free square or anything like that, but
no.
If you want to leverage this game, if you don't have a stack that's a 2 stack, then I think a Jeff Wilson play here is really solid. So I don't mind it. Don't mind it at all. So Gesicki, look, I'm going to say no thanks to Gesicki, even if I am playing Tua. He's just, like last week, like what we actually saw with this 12.8 game and even the 24.9, there's a guy called Durham Smythe who's a tight end. And Durham Smythe came back last week. He doesn't do anything, but in terms of fantasy scoring, but he just takes away snaps from Gesicki.
Yeah.
Gesicki's just not out there enough. And so you're hoping for a touchdown, and that's it. Now, he's cheap, 5,460, so, that's not horrible to think about playing him, but I don't know. The upside's capped because of who he's playing with. So, anyway, that's my take on this matchup. If I'm going to stack it, it's like if you don't want to stack Jacoby Brissett, I don't blame you, but you could easily just do a Chubb or a Cooper with a Waddle or a Hill and just correlate along this game because I think there's going to be points scored. Otherwise, you're doing a double stack with Tua, Waddle and Hill, and bring it back with Cooper or DPJ. And I actually really like bringing it back with DPJ because I think that's going to be unique and it's going to correlate well. And DPJ is cheap and he allows that maneuverability throughout your lineup. So a Tua, Waddle, Hill, and DPJ stack, I think I'll be there a fair bit this week. Arch, what else do you like from this game? Have I covered everything?
Yeah, no, let's move on.
Sweet. You got Jacksonville at KC. This is shaping up to be potentially a bit of a barn burner if Jacksonville can get going.
Yeah, look, this is potentially the most popular game stacking game on the slate. I think Fields is going to be popular, which we'll talk about a bit later. But in terms of the pieces and going back and forth and value, I think this is a game that's going to command a lot of ownership. We've got a pass-happy Kansas City against, the 27th ranked pass DVOA defense in Jacksonville. So, KC is going to have a good time. And KC also giving lots of points up to the pass. And Lawrence is just putting together not a bad statistical season. Doesn't look great all the time, but, he's starting to work in this offense. So this game's going to be popular for a reason. Should be high pace, and it should be a bit of back and forth in the air. So on the KC side, let's maybe just start there. Yeah. We have to start with Mahomes. Obviously, probably the best pay up option on the slate. Josh Allen has a bit of an injury cloud over him, and Mahomes sitting under 16K is just delightful. Like, how is he that cheap, Rowan? in this environment,
it's really nice.
Potentially, I mean, they've counteracted that with Kelsey being so expensive. But just looking at Mahomes, I don't think he's going to be as popular as he probably should be, just because I think Fields and Tua have a lot of popularity at the moment.
Recency bias.
Exactly. So I'm going to be leaning heavy into the best quarterback in the league in Mahomes. It's just, I don't know, let's not overthink this. In the last 5 weeks, Kansas City is first in pass EPA per play. And there's the dog just pushing his way through the door.
On your text.
Yeah. Oh, man. Look, KC first in pass expected points added per play, pass percentage, and pass rate over expectation. They don't like to run. They like to throw.
Oh, my gosh. You see them last week? You see that Tennessee game? Tennessee they weren't trying on the ground after, like, the first quarter. They're like, nah, stuff it. We're just going to pass. Man,
but even in the red zone, I'm not worried about running. We're passing this thing. So they're third in explosive pass percentage and drive success. They finish it off. And with big plays as well. So, look, this is just perfect for Mahomes just to really just go nuts here. Jackson defense is 27th in pass EPA per play defensively. Like, this is let's just not overthink. Play Mahomes.
Yeah, definitely.
Running backs, however, let's not play any of them from the Kansas City side. They're passing a lot.
That's all you need to say. That's all you, like, seriously, that's all.
Yeah. They're passing too much. No, they're not running, and there's 3 sharing nothing. So we'll move on to the pass catches, where it gets exciting and tricky. Like, let's just start with Kelsey. Kelsey's the number one, right? I know we often talk about tight ends last, but Kelsey's the number one here.
He is.
He's super consistent. He's the one you can trust to have the volume. Play him. Obviously, you're eating up salary, but you're only a smidge over 30K with him and Mahomes. Like, it's there's worse combos out there. Like,
definitely.
So play that. Like, it's Tua and Tyreek Hill is more expensive, right, than these guys. Or it might be
very similar. Very similar.
And so, Mahomes and Kelsey, guys, come on. Yeah. So play them. Don't be scared by the salary, and don't be scared off by stats that tell us that Jacksonville is 8th in schedule-adjusted fantasy points allowed to tight ends. Like,
Kelsey's different.
Kelsey is different. Like, just don't look at those stats. Yeah. Hopefully it scares off some ownership, but it won't. I think people are smart enough to know to play Kelsey. But the wide receivers here, this is what's going to, potentially allow you to still play a popular game and have unique lineups, because it's tough picking the ones that are going to play here. And so, in Rowan, you probably play 20 Mahomes stats
easily.
In the micro.
Definitely.
And so you're going to probably cycle through a mix of Juju, a mix of Hardman, MVS a little bit, and now Tony's coming to just complicate it even more further.
It's going to be ugly. I think it's almost like it's Mahomes and Kelsey, and then just see who comes in next. Like, I'll mix through it, but I find it very hard to think through this. Potentially, you go Tony, because he's 6,000.
Well, let me give you some stats, and you tell me if you're a bit hotter and colder.
I'll absorb.
His route participation last week, 7% of routes run he was involved, like route dropbacks he was involved in running routes.
So not many.
Not many, but that sounds bad. But his first game in, technically injured, right? On the routes that he did run, he was targeted 40% of them. Like, when he was on the field, he earned the targets from Mahomes. And so for me, I'm thinking, I'm going to play Tony. I want to be early, because if Mahomes is liking the fact that, hey, I can depend on this guy and chuck in the ball and he's going to be open, I'm going to tell the coach to get him out there more often. And so look for Tony to just inch his way into that share. MVS's route participation went down to 65% last week, when he's 76% on the year. So potentially MVS is the one losing out here. I think Hardman still plays. His role didn't decrease last week. He's still
I honestly
only 50%.
think Hardman's trusted by Mahomes.
Yeah,
like, he's been there for 3 years now. Like, he's earned his spot well. I think they actually really like.
And his spot isn't an every down receiver. So I think he'll maintain his 50% route participation. But I think Tony can get up to that. And I think MVS is the one that's going to lose out. And maybe Juju, if Juju hasn't been that good. Like, he's not, earning a lot of targets for the amount of routes he's running. So, but yeah, it's complicated. I'm going to definitely play Mahomes, Kelsey, and just one of the guys I'll chuck in there as well. And I think more often than not, Tony at 6.5K, like, you talk about value with DPJ, like, there's real upside in Tony, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Anyone partnered with Mahomes is great up.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the thing. All of them are cheap. Like, except Juju, I think, is a little bit annoyingly priced at 12K. I think Draftstars have been a bit aggressive with him, and so I don't think I'm that keen on that price. But the other guys, I think it's worth sprinkling through.
Yeah, I think my preferred ranking would be, would almost be. I still think I prefer Hardman, so I think I'd be Hardman, Tony, Juju, and then MVS. Yeah. That's probably how I'd rank them right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, Jacksonville side. Look, T-Law, Trevor Lawrence.
Here we go.
I probably don't want to play him, but I don't know
cheap,
the ceilings. Though. He's cheap. He's only had 1 3-touchdown game this year, and another 2 times he scored 2 touchdowns. Other than that, it's 1 or none. So he's not really. I feel that the touchdowns are few and far between. This maybe is the environment where he might hit. He's only hit the 300-yard mark once as well. I'm not that keen on Lawrence. I'm more thinking of Jacksonville as bring-back options.
Sure.
And so let's look at the first one in Travis Etienne. My goodness. Since the James
Love
Robinson
this
trade,
man. He has like lights out.
I think in the last 3 weeks, he's leading the league in rush attempts. He's hit the 100-yard bonus in each of those games. We're just looking at a beast in the making. And he's not involved in the passing game yet, Rowan. Look at that. Like he
will be as well.
Exactly. And I'm thinking this could be the week that it happens. I'm keen on Etienne. I think he's been a popular play last couple of weeks as well. And his price is still down in 12K. Potentially, this is where he adds that extra element, and we might see a 30-plus game if that happens. What do you think about that?
Juicy. Nah, love it. Love ETN this week.
Well,
a great play.
No, and I look at the other metrics. 74% route participation as a running back. Like he's only got 9% targets per route run. So if he can get it together, like he's out there running routes, the opportunity's there. And Kansas City are 26th in explosive pass percent as well. And a short pass to ETN, he can make stuff happen for big plays. I think against the Kansas City.
This is the positive regression we talk about. This is what it looks like. Yeah, I love that.
Yep. Speaking of explosive plays, Jacksonville ranks 8th in explosive pass percentage, Rowan, over the last month. How's that?
Love it.
So who do you think benefits from that? I'm loving a bit of Christian Kirk. Lawrence and Kirk have built a nice little rapport. Like when Kirk's healthy, I think he's clearly the favourite target. Like look how many catches he's got week in, week out. I'm really keen on Kirk. 90% routes run last week. 0.3 targets for every route he's run. Like he's a loved option, and so he's going to get played. But then it gets real saucy, Rowan, and we're talking about some real cheap punt plays that you can take to the bank, Rowan.
All right. Look, both of these guys are in my dynasty team, so I'm really hoping that you're right.
Look, we'll start with Zay Jones. He's running the second most routes on the team. 94% route participation last week. 94%, and he's a 6.5K wide receiver. Like, how can you get any better opportunities? Like, the targets aren't always there, and the yards from that don't always come about. But I think at 6K, you're playing for the opportunity. Marvin Jones. Let's just talk about my mate Marvin Jones.
Old man Marvin Jones.
Look, he's been pretty consistently, on the field for 75% of routes run on the season. But his targets per route run is second only to Christian Kirk at 26% last week, 20% on the year. Like, when he's out there, he's commanding targets. Like, it's only a matter of time before he gets a touchdown. Like, he's only got, one for the year. I think potentially this is another opportunity for that. 6K flat. This is not bad. No,
it's good. You got to look through, especially if you want to play these top guys. This is where you got to go, and I think these are probably two of our best 6K options this week.
And you talk about bringing it back on a Mahomes Kelsey stack, like that then reopens up your lineup for all sorts of options elsewhere. Finally, let's look at Evan Ingram. Quite popular last week. His salary, I don't think's changed too much.
Got injured. That's why he's got the crap score.
Yeah. And so, I don't know. We'll see how he goes. It was obviously on the season, he's been out there a lot, 80% of routes run. But the targets haven't always been there. And you see touchdowns have been pretty thin. So, is he good to go this week, Ron?
He's got the queue. I can't remember off the top of my head what the practice report was, so apologies.
All right, yeah, just keep an eye on that. So stacking, like I said, Mahomes and Kelsey, and one, a Tony or a Hardman, I think makes a nice little stack there. Bringing it back with an ETN or Kirk would be optimum, but if you need to save salary, go down to one of the Jones boys.
Yeah, love it. Oh, some juicy options there.
I love an ETN Kelsey stack correlation in other lineups as well. I love that.
For sure. All right, we're going to move on over to Minnesota taking on Buffalo. And this is an interesting game, right? Key piece of information is Josh Allen hurt his elbow and didn't practice today. Was wearing a sleeve, protective sleeve. So this is really what it hinges on. This game could be awesome if he plays. If he doesn't play, it's a little tricky. It's a little tricky. But question is, what can Case Keenum do? That's a big question of this game. If Buffalo loses, Josh Allen. This is though a high-paced game. Buffalo are 4th in neutral pace. Minnesota are 7th, and I kind of expect this game to be in that neutral pace, or that neutral situation for quite a lot of it. So if this is going to be a paced up game, then you want access to it because these teams can be efficient and can get going. Particularly thinking of Minnesota. Now let's just think about this. Cousins is $10,530.
That's very cheap.
I honestly think Draftstars are going, they're playing the Bills. We'll push them down.
Yeah.
And that's fair. I can understand that line of thinking. However, let's just take the last month. If we look at the last month, yes, Buffalo were superb defensively in the first half of the season, or first 5 weeks of the season. Last 4 weeks, though, defensively, the expected points added that they're defending, like they're only 17th against the pass, they're only 20th against the rush, and 20th overall. So I'm looking at this going, they've middled out. They've really dropped down, and so they haven't been the superior defense that we knew them to be early on in the year. So with these guys priced down, I think this is where we can hit leverage. I think this Minnesota side is a potential place to go where we could see some spike games from guys like Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook. And potentially with that, Kirk Cousins, well, not maybe spike, but hit value at least. And so I don't mind Minnesota stacks this week. So I'll preface it with that. So Cousins as well, he's been 4th in pass rate over expected. That's another thing we love to see. A great pace and passing a lot. So there's some stats there that really say that Cousins could have a decent game here. Now, Jefferson is ridiculously priced at $15,000. This is a guy that should be priced in the 17,000 plus range. This guy should be up there with Diggs and Cooper Kupp and Tyreek Hill because his ceiling is enormous. He's hit 30 points 3 times this year, 28.5 is next best as well. Yeah, he's had some duds, sure, but you go for the ceilings here. Jefferson is an amazing tournament play. I think he's priced down that little bit more, just saves your lineup a little bit more salary. I really love this. He hasn't scored a touchdown, or he scored one last week, and before that hadn't scored a touchdown since week 1. Goodness me. So positive regression, please, for Justin Jefferson. Love it. So Justin Jefferson is a big tick. He is targeted on 28% of his routes. He's 3rd in the league for yards after the catch. Vikings are passing a lot. I love this play. Love this play. Thielen, on the other hand, he's fine. Right? He's sitting there, down here at 7,860. Yeah, he's fine. That's really it. That's just really, he's fine. Because it's due to the environment, he's fine. I think he's fine. But I'd rather DPJ. Give me DPJ. So that's then. Poiter says Josh Allen with no elbow or case closed. Keenum. Look, either way, the Minnesota have a good path to winning this game. That's what I like. So let's talk about Dalvin Cook then. Cook is priced again absurdly at $12,810. This coming from a guy who's just really strong in usage. He's averaging 17 rush attempts and 4 targets per game over the last 5 weeks, and comes up against the Buffalo defense, who has actually struggled lately against explosive run percentage. They're 28th in defending explosive run. And that's pretty juicy, I think. I like Cook as an option by himself, for sure, or as a bring back from Buffalo stacks. But potentially you might want to fade some Buffalo stacks. But either way. TJ Hawkinson is also priced quite nicely at 7,000.
How was his usage last week as well?
It was So good. 91% of snaps the first week after being traded. Ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Nine receptions for 70 yards.
Yeah.
What
Huge
is this?
target share. Beautiful.
It's amazing. So TJ Hawkinson just slips right in. Way better option than Adam Thielen for sure.
Yep.
And so he's the logical choice for the tight end position in Minnesota stacks. Buffalo giving up the 11th most points to tight ends over the past month. So he's solid. Really what I'm saying is Minnesota are all really solid players, and they're all cheaper than what you'd expect.
Yep.
Which makes it just a great spot.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk Buffalo. Will Allen play? Will Allen play? I can't tell. I really can't tell right now.
It's a wait and see.
Wait and see. He's priced up 16,000. He's the most expensive quarterback of the slate. You know, if Keenum comes in and he's priced, he's 8,000.
Keenum Diggs revenge game.
That would be pretty awesome to see, and I wouldn't fault you for playing Case Keenum this week if he is the starter. But it just makes the offense unpredictable. That's the reality. So, especially when they're coming up against Minnesota, who are actually 5th in defensive EPA per play overall in the last month. They've been really good defensively, Minnesota. So I think I'm looking at that and going, if Case Keenum comes in, there's going to be struggles. There is. It's not going to be the same offense at all. And really, all receivers rely on Allen. Diggs is priced up at 18,740. That's scary. That's honestly really scary. He's only 2 times that salary once. He's gone over 30 twice. And when you got Case Keenum throwing to you instead of Josh Allen, it's scary to be able to play someone that priced that highly. But to be honest, I think it's kind of scary to play him priced that highly anyway. So I'm erring on it, and especially if the elbow's not right. He's still a target hog. He's 33% of targets per route run on the season. But yeah, will the price tag be worth it? Then you got Gabe Davis. He's always there for a potential big play. Almost came down with a big play at the end of the game last week when it was do or die against the Jets and couldn't quite make the catch. So he's been really unproductive the last couple of weeks, which has not been great. But you don't play for what he's done, you play for what he can do. So Vikings are 24th in defending explosive passes. So that's in his favor. Solid option, I reckon. Priced under 10K. McKenzie, he is 74.80, and really he's just the guy that you're putting in Buffalo stacks because he could score a touchdown. That's really it. That's the only reason you play him. I don't think he's that safe. I think his floor's too low. Way too low. No Buffalo running backs for me. And similar, I don't know, Singletary's been good in these close games, and so that could be good, but it's been a while since he's actually, since he's had that 20-point game. He hasn't been superb since then, especially when he's priced at 11K, and they brought in Nyheim Hines. Yes, Nyheim Hines only played 6% snaps last week, but I think they targeted for a reason. It's going to go up. Singletary's going to go down. They're going to middle each other out. I can't buy into this backfield. Knox is the last person to really talk about. 6,880. It's fine. Again, searching for a touchdown. He has 2 touchdowns on the year, but that's the thing. He's short yardage. Really, his yardage totals are pitiful, and it's the end zone. That's the only times he's going to get targeted when they need a first down. I'm not a fan. Anyway, if I'm stacking this game, Cousins is my favorite stack. With a Jefferson, definitely, and then with a Hawk or a Thielen, preferably Hawk. Bring it back with Diggs if you can. And otherwise, maybe just do a Diggs with a Jefferson or Hawkinson stack. Just having access to the game is going to be important. And if Allen gets up, then I think you don't want to fade it, really. But, yeah, I don't know. The Diggs are priced around the same spot as Cooper Kupp and Tyreek Hill. Just does make me a little bit nervous. He's probably not my favorite in regards to all of those. So if I'm going to clear these filters and look at it, Kupp at 1950, Tyreek Hill at 1940, Steph Diggs at 18,740. Those 3, Hill's my favorite by far. Yeah. But then you put Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson can do what Diggs can do easily, and he's priced $3,700 cheaper. Yep. I just will probably go to Justin Jefferson over Diggs. So it's a tough one. to fade Diggs, but that's probably the choice that I'll be making this week. So pray for me.
Beautiful. Detroit at Chicago, Ron.
Let's do it.
Chicago 3-point favourites, 47 over under. Is the Detroit defense back, however, after... No. No. Green Bay are just an absolute shit show.
Suck.
So don't worry about that. So let's not read too much into Detroit. Look, for the sake of time, let's just whip through this game. Justin Fields. Shall we talk about him really quickly?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Inconceivable.
Justin Fields is our value play of the week this week, Rowan. Fields is going up against a Detroit defense that is 26th in total DVOA, 29th in pass EPA per play, and 31st in explosive pass percentage, and 29th in pressure percentage. But Arch, he only scores on the ground. So he'll do both. Sure, he's also 4th in the league in the last month for passing touchdowns. Did you know that? 7th in average depth of target. He's efficient. He's making, in the small volume, he is making stuff happen. Chicago are actually 8th in pass EPA per play over the last month, Rowan. He's doing it okay in the air. Might not get the yardage, but he's making the offense tick. He's been super efficient. Against this Detroit D, Fields should get some big plays as well this week. And if he doesn't, he's just going to run plenty. He is the cash game lock. Value player of the week, Justin Fields. Got it.
Can't say no. He won me a lot of money last week.
Yeah, that's right. Here's some crazy Chicago offensive stats, by the way. Last 2 weeks, Fields' coming out party, by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Chicago are 31st in pass rate over expectation, 26th in pass percentage, 32nd in explosive pass percentage. How's that? But second in explosive rush percent, obviously 60-yard touchdown runs from your quarterback helps. 8th in rush and pass and total EPA per play. Like, they are making points happen, fantasy points in each play. So they are super efficient, this offense. So you can lock in Fields with so much confidence. Moving on, running backs. Only in a tournament might I consider Montgomery as a bit of a leverage off of Fields. Like we said, the running game is open for Chicago, especially now that defenses have to worry about Fields. I think Montgomery, who had 70% of the snaps last week, could be a sneaky play. Priced not too expensive, but maybe not cheap enough to make you really want to click the button. But he's going to be someone who's probably, you might be the only one playing him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Obviously, for just, mass entering tournaments only, I'd look at that for leverage. But he's got Khalil Herbert to worry about as well, which makes it a really risky play. Wide receiver, it was just the Darnell Mooney show, but now he's got a bit of a supporting cast in Claypool. Even N'Keal Harry just jumps in for a cameo every now and again as well. But it's Mooney who's getting the snaps still last week. He's the clubhouse leader and targets per route run at 31%. So Fields still likes him. He's getting open for him. And so, if he catches a touchdown with some, he'll pay off that, sub 9K price. It's super cheap, Mooney.
I can't believe that they price Claypool more than Mooney. That does my head in.
Yeah. Obviously, with Fields being so popular, it's going to push up Mooney's ownership as well. So just be aware of that. Talking about Claypool, he only played 47% of routes run for the team, but he had a 43% target per route run. Fields liked what he saw when he was out there. So that's interesting. I'll be seeing if that continues.
Sure.
But obviously you saw what the result of that was. 2 receptions. Mind you, that he would have caught a deep pass had he not been dragged to the ground before the ball hit him.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I don't know. So, again, these are GPP plays only, really.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Fields just makes sense as play him naked. You don't need other options with him. He doesn't need it. Obviously, he's got the work on the ground. Yeah, N'Keal Harry's too thin to trust in any sort of form, unless you want to put one entry in a 150 max GPP. Cole Kmet, he'll be the most popular pairing with Fields. Again, he's super cheap at 5.4K for a tight end that just went off. So he's going to be, in the minds of people who played last week, and they'll see his price not moved. He's going to be so expensive. I think you have to, from a game theory perspective, have to fade him, really, because I think the chances of him not catching a touchdown, not going off, are so much higher than him going off. And if he comes in at 20-30% owned, I'm off. What do you think about that sort of theory?
Look, I hear you. I just think that with the tight end slate that we have, it's Kelsey or no one, and so I think I'll just whatever I stack, I'll probably just, the tight end will be correlated. It'll be rare that I don't do that. So if I'm playing Fields, I kind of just want to play Kmet to get that spot out of the way, and not have to think hard about it, and get different elsewhere in my lineup. That's probably how I'll probably play it.
Yeah. All right. Detroit offense bad, 31st in total EPA per play. Dan Campbell, all he wants to do is he wants to try and slow down the game. He wants to win ugly. So my one fear is that, look, these guys aren't going to push the Bears like Miami did last week, and so I'm fearful that this game actually has an out, that this game could fail, where that slows it down. Bears don't have to go nuts like they did against Miami to stay in the game.
Nope.
And so this is real fail potential in this game, and so part of me is wondering, with Fields being so popular, and again, we talk about Kmet being potentially, from a game theory perspective, do you believe that this game could fail? But on the flip side, both of these offenses are historically bad. And so the game could end up going back and forth just because they don't know how to stop the football. So it's going to come down to, what do you believe this game's going to do? So, look, you're not going to play golf. Play him if you really want to feel alive this weekend. But yeah, like, really, yeah, you might do okay, but probably won't. It's all Amon-Ra that you're going to have it's almost an automatic bring back for your field stacks. Yeah. There's no one else. There's no one else. No one else, Rowan.
All right.
100% route participation last week. He was not allowed off the field. Jamal Williams continues to be solid value, especially as Swift still has limited touches. Always a chance for 1 or 2 touchdowns, sub 9K. He's not going to be the 8K free square that sometimes occurs, but I think he still could return value.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, look, stacking, it's a Fields naked for me, or Fields and Mooney with a Amon-Ra bring back.
Yeah, no, that makes the most sense. Fair enough. All right, we're going to move it quickly into the position-by-position plays that we like this week. Best of the rest. Arch, who's your best of the rest this week?
Look, it was Kyler Murray until I saw that he's day-to-day with a hammy, so monitor that. But Kyler Murray and Hopkins stacks, are always just a chance to break the slate. So
definitely.
But just monitor the injuries. Values?
Look, he's not on our run sheet here. But Daniel Jones against Houston intrigues me, to be honest. Like, that just woeful defense, especially on the ground, the worst rushing defense that we're going around. Who's to say he doesn't put up another 60-odd yards on the ground? Like, that could be really solid here. Yes, Peachy, get onto the lineups. That's right. Join us in the chat.
Yeah, build one with us in a second.
That's right, he will. Otherwise, values, I hate to say it, Andy Dalton against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh just suck.
I tell you what, they suck.
Pittsburgh are 31st EPA per play in the last 5 games. So Dalton, I don't mind going here. I'm not going to go to Mills this week. Sorry, Millsy. Jacoby Brissett, we already mentioned. That's probably it in terms of value that I'm okay with. Let's go to running backs, and we have got a premium play of the week coming up now. Show me the money! Saquon Barkley is our premium play of the week. He is playing Houston, and that's really all that I need to say. But let's just say a little bit more. Barkley is averaging 20 rush attempts and 4 targets per game. He averages 3.3 yards after contact per attempt. He is pushing past those defenders with ease, which is fantastic. It's third best in the league. Coming up against the absolute worst rush defense in the league. Last in rush yards per game. Last in EPA per rush. Last in explosive rush percentage. I don't know. You need to say anything else. Saquon Barkley is the absolute best pay-up option on the slate. You play Saquon Barkley. That's the rule this week, and he's our premium of the week.
Beautiful.
I also don't mind Pollard this week.
Oh, yeah.
12,230. And Ezekiel Elliott is coming back from injury. We're not sure how much he'll play, but Pollard against Green Bay, who are the 31st in rush DVOA and 23rd in defending explosive rush percentage, that's a great play as well. I expect a lot of ownership to be on Pollard if Zeke's not up to it.
For sure. We saw that the other week, didn't we?
We did.
Values, I mean, I can't get past Jeff Wilson. I know we've already talked about him. With the 49% target share, Cleveland 30th in pass EPA per play defensively. I think this is just a prime matchup for, Jeff Wilson just to go bananas. I think he showed why they traded for him instantaneously.
That's right.
So I think he's a great, we always look to see if there's any 8K values out there, and I think that's one of them.
That's right. What's the best wide receivers, though, Arch?
I love Devontae Adams. He's playing the Colts. He's only 13.6K. And we're talking about a guy who was in the top tier all last year. We saw what he did last week. He's going to be pretty popular. I think he's a great cash game wide receiver.
Yeah, I think Devontae Adams is in for a good week as well. Value, I just don't like. There's something aside from the guys we talked about. It's hard to find much else. I mean, Cortland's against Tennessee. Like, no one's running against Tennessee. They're just passing it. So here he is, sub 10K. He's done well at the beginning of the year. It's ugly. It's like, I wasn't saying I liked it, but he's there. Pickens is interesting. Post-buy rookie bump is something that goes on a lot every year. Ignore the 0 against Philly because it's against Philly. But let's look at that Miami score. 6 for 61 and a touchdown. And he's coming up against New Orleans. And New Orleans are only 22nd in defensive pass EPA per play. So and we also lost Chase Claypool. Love that. So Pickens could be pretty nice here. Look, we didn't mention the Detroit receivers much. But look, if Josh Reynolds is 6K, and we know that Goff likes him. Yep. So... And he's good at stretching the field. If Reynolds is out, I don't hate Khalif Raymond at 66.60, but I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Tight ends. It's Kelsey. We talked about Kelsey, but there is a $7,600 drop to Darren Waller, and I'm not playing Darren Waller this week. I'm not playing Tyler Higbee this week because he's disappeared from the face of the earth. Pat Freiermuth, though, mentioning Chase Claypool being traded, Freiermuth could be the guy to gobble up those inside targets, and we know what he can do. Look, he's had some decent yardage totals and only one receiving touchdown on the year. I wouldn't be surprised if he hits pay dirt this week.
Very good. On the value side of things, looking at your 5K-ish guys, we've mentioned Cole Kmet. Foster Moreau is keep an eye if Waller is out, which I think is 50-50 at this stage. Juwan Johnson for the Saints, running lots of routes, lots of opportunity for him. Obviously, always a danger of what's his face. He'll taking his touchdowns away. Austin Hooper is another little one that came to mind. You talked about Sutton. I think who I'd rather go to is Greg Dulcich as the rookie. His target share is, I think, 17 or 19% as a rookie tight end. That's outrageous. And so I love that value at 7K there. That'll do. Defenses.
Yeah, that's it. Defenses. Oh, look.
Chiefs. I like the Chiefs against, Lawrence is still, not a, he's someone you want to target. Cowboys against Aaron Rodgers. Yes, please. Yes, please. Baby. Probably the most popular defense on the slate. So you might want to just limit your exposure there on that side of thing. But, on paper, basically, Green Bay is done and dusted. There's going to be sacks. There's going to be turnovers.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, love it. I don't mind cheaper land. Denver Broncos against Tennessee. Don't mind that. Broncos defense has been really stout so far this year, and it's a really low total, so that's important. Arizona Cardinals are probably my favorite sub 5K defense. They have been creating turnovers almost every single week, which is phenomenal, and taking them for touchdowns.
And so has Stafford. He's been creating turnovers too. What a match made in heaven.
It's a lovely, lovely matchup. So Cardinals are probably my favorite defense this week.
All right. Let's build a lineup.
Sure. Let's do it. Let's build a lineup. Where do we start?
Well, let's look at our QBs. So, to me, it's a Mahomes or a Fields or Tua maybe.
Yeah, that's the three that I like the most. Well, you said Justin Fields is our value of the week, so let's put him in. That's how we roll. And you want to go Mooney, so we go Mooney.
Yep.
All right. And are we going to bring it back?
Yeah, we'll bring it back with Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra.
You're playing this in the thinking that the game environment is back and forth and does go off. So you're not stacking Fields if you think it's going to be a slugfest.
No, that's right. Cardinals defense I'm going to plug in because they're cheap, and I just like cheaper defenses here. Now, we talked about ETN.
Yeah, I like ETN.
Should we go at ETN Kelsey stack?
Yes.
Excellent. All right, we've got a running back, a wide receiver, and a flex to go.
So we want some value. Do you want to go a Jeff Wilson? Or
yeah, okay. Let's put Jeff Wilson
to
in.
Open up the salary.
Yeah, that's going to make it nice for us. And I just need to scroll down a bit. Here we go. And we've got 11,680 for two flex, a wide receiver and a flex, sorry. I think we could probably go down a little bit into, I don't know, like we've already stacked that Kansas City Jacksonville game, so it's hard to find another great value because there was quite some in that game.
Well, that's it. There's what about an Olave?
Yeah, I actually really like Olave. We didn't mention him, but Olave is a fan. I'm a fan, of Olave this week. Yeah, it gets a bit messy, though, in that flex spot.
It does.
I really like Dameon Pierce if he wasn't injured.
Yeah.
He's sitting there as an option for me. How's Jonathan Taylor down at $10,960?
Well, do you want to go on Amari Cooper just
instead of Olave?
Well,
or we do both of them. That's fine. We can do both.
And then we could go
better defense. Oh, so close. So close to the Cowboys. $50.
So close.
Look, I'm just going to put the Broncos in there. All right, we're going to leave it there. We're going to leave it there for our team lineup of the week. And you can check that out on TikTok as well. That's going to go up on TikTok later on. And it's been wonderful. Oh, week 10. Every time I get to the end of the show, I'm always excited. I'm always ready to crunch some lineups already, but I have to wait 5 days. So
that's right.
Not 5, 3, 4. I can't do maths. Anyway, stick around, everybody, if you want to check out the spreadsheet that we have got going on our Patreon. So make sure you check that out. And if you're listening to a podcast, head over to YouTube to check that out. Please do like and subscribe, everyone. You can catch us on socials at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And please gamble responsibly. 1-800-838-838. It's been a fun time. Arch, been good.
Bye-bye.